All right, folks, let's talk about the Libra new moon solar eclipse tomorrow, October 14th, 10:55 a.m. Pacific time. Now, I've done two videos, really numerically three videos, prior to this, building up to this particular video. One on Jupiter retrograde in Taurus, kind of talking about the energy of the time, and then also Venus's transit through Virgo. And that video got split up into two. I tried to edit it into one. It took forever. I uploaded the two, so it's a two-part video. So three videos, but really two videos uploaded before this in the past few days. You're welcome to refer to them, as they will give you the context and the sense of the time that we're in as we head into this Libra new moon solar eclipse. As you know, with eclipses, the week before, week after an eclipse, and when it comes to a solar eclipse, 2 months after the solar eclipse. So December 14th, the week before and week after, especially as far as the solar eclipse is concerned, insofar as the solar eclipse in Libra is tomorrow, October 14th. There's a corresponding lunar eclipse on on what is wrong with me? What is wrong with my life? What is wrong with my whatever? And a corresponding lunar eclipse in the sign of Libra again on March 24th of 2024. Once again, new moon solar eclipse tomorrow, October 14th, 2023. Corresponding lunar eclipse, full moon in Libra, March 24th, 2024. So the dates that are significant to this eclipse are October 14th, tomorrow, the week before, week after, December 14th, the week before, week after, January 24th, the week before, week after, and March 24th, week before, week after. The Libra eclipses are south node eclipses, which means that something is being released in the part of the chart where Libra sits, the house that Libra occupies in your chart and what that house stands for. The north node eclipses that are occurring right now, technically the north node is transiting through Aries. So leaning into developing skills, putting energy into what you feel called to do in a grounded manner in the Aries part of your chart, and releasing something in the Libra part of the chart. And these two energies feed into each other and happen in kind of a correspond. It's like a chicken and egg thing. You know, are you releasing something because you're leaning into something, or are you leaning into something because you are releasing something? It has that kind of component to it. More on that in a second. We do have a lunar eclipse in Taurus in 2 weeks' time. This is the last of the eclipses that we've had running through late 2021 on the Taurus-Scorpio axis. Now we have the eclipses moving from Taurus-Scorpio to Aries-Libra. And we had an Aries solar eclipse, but the first of these eclipses on April the 19th. And now we have a Libra new moon solar eclipse on tomorrow, October 14th. I'm not going to talk about the Aries eclipse. When the Aries eclipse happened earlier this year, I talked about it. I'm not going to address that right now. I'll address that closer as we get to the corresponding lunar eclipse in Taurus that's happening on October 28th of this year. But understand that we are starting a 6-month, roughly, eclipse cycle that starts tomorrow and reaches some sort of a culmination around March 24th. You're releasing something in the Libra part of the chart. You're leaning into the Aries part of the chart. With the 4 dates I mentioned, it could be that they signify some sort of a release in the Libra part of the chart, or it could be that it signifies what you're leaning into. So sometimes with eclipses, there's a tendency to think that because the eclipse is happening in the Libra part of the chart, what is going to be clear, what is going to be apparent, and what is going to have to be focused on over the next 6 months or so, and what is going to manifest as something tangible that we can say this is what the eclipse has brought, is related to releasing something in the Libra part of the chart. That may not be true. It may actually be that something is pulling you in the Aries part of the chart and the release happens naturally. So it's important to have this awareness of, since March, April of this year, what is it in the Aries part of the chart that is saying, give your energy in this direction, move in this direction for your development. It may come to you when it comes to the North Node as a desire, as a calling, as something you want to do, something you're craving to do. Okay, as I've said to you, whenever we're dealing with the North Node, be grounded, be clear about what your security requirements are, because the North Node will just, insatiable, it has that kind of feeling of insatiable craving, insatiable hunger. I think in a contemporary 2023 context, I will call that a sense of calling. It's undeniable. And from a Western astrology standpoint, there's a strong feeling that is where your development is. That is what is next for you. But at the same time, something in the Libra part of the chart has to be released, and they go hand in hand. This is what we would call fated changes with eclipses. When I compare them to 19th century novels, I talk about the fact that a book is ending as opposed to a chapter. So it could be that for some of you, I would look back over the last week that we've had. I would look over the next 2 weeks that we're having, and then I would look into the first week of November and see what exactly is happening. But as far as the Libra eclipse is concerned, because it is a new moon solar eclipse, I would look to the week before tomorrow, this last week, and the week after tomorrow to give us a signal perhaps as to which direction we need to move in. Now, this is important, what I'm about to say. It is a solar eclipse, but it is also a new moon. And it is a solar eclipse of release, but it is also a new moon. From a new moon perspective, we have a new moon in Libra tomorrow, which means that for the next 28 days, we are going to experience what I am going to call Libra season. Until the new moon hits, as far as I'm concerned, the season for that part of the chart does not begin. Now, you are welcome to call Libra season the time that the sun is transiting through Libra. That is the contemporary definition of it. For me, the house of Libra, the house that is occupied by the sign of Libra in your chart, takes on greater direction, intentional direction, and sees greater manifestation after the new moon occurs. Now, the slightly contradictory energy is that while planets such as Mars, which just finished its transit, Mars has been in Libra, was in Libra for the past 6 weeks or so. Mars has just entered Scorpio. But planets such as Mars, the sun that is going through its annual transit of Libra, Mercury, which is in Libra and will meet up with the sun on the 20th of this month in a week's time, Venus, which will enter Libra on November the 8th. The transits of all these signs tell some sort of a story around this annual parade of planets, particularly the Sun, Mercury, and Venus with this new moon occurring in the sign of Libra. It just so happens that right now Mars is traveling close to the Sun, so we've got Mars having been the first of the planets that goes through this part of the chart. So during Mars's transit for the past 6 weeks or so, energy, action, activity, even put the potential for conflict, a kind of testosterone-filled. It could be that, the actions taken in the Libra part of your chart may have lacked a certain amount of elegance. They may have had a sense of urgency. They may have a sense of bull in a china shop quality, but action is signified. Then the sun came in about 3 odd weeks ago, and you started the annual inner review of this part of the chart. What do I want to do here? How are things looking? How am I satisfied with how things are here? What needs to be and what doesn't? Ideas coming to you related to the Libra part of the chart, wherever Libra sits, okay? Then Mercury coming in here. When did Mercury come into Libra, my darlings? Let's take a look. Mercury came into Libra on October 5th, 8 days ago. And Mercury is going to be in Libra till October 22nd. So during this time, communication, thinking, cognition around this part of the chart. And then, of course, the new moon occurs tomorrow. So integrated set of actions in the Libra part of your chart over the next 28 days. Then Venus comes in from November the 8th through December the 4th is when you might see some potential gains and manifestations and luck enter this part of the chart. So that's the new moon story. And so that does mean that for the next month or so, even into December the 4th, there are a certain set of, I'm going to call them more mundane transactional items, but they're related to the Mars transit and the Mercury transit and the Sun transit. So you may actually have plans in this part of the chart. every house stands for different and multiple things, right? It stands for a few different things. It may be that you have to release something that has a much more macro perspective in the Libra part of the chart till through 2025 while these eclipses are happening on the Aries-Libra axis. But for the next month, month and a half, there may be another set of actions related to something else that this house stands for that you've got to lean into and build as part of the new moon cycle. I encourage you to think of the new moon solar eclipse as a new moon 1 and a solar eclipse 2, with the solar eclipse introducing changes that are bigger and seem fated and destined and have a sense of calling and have a sense of and are more dramatic. And I encourage you to look at the new moon in Libra as needing to take constructive actions in the Libra part of the chart, even through December the 4th or so of this year, to build something there that on an annual basis, that feels right based on your annual review of this part of the chart. Okay, I hope that is making sense. The one transit, this is one of those new moon solar eclipses that, as far as I am concerned, is unaspected. And I mean, the only aspect makes is that it's conjuncting the south node, which is what makes it an eclipse. There's one other aspect that is encoded into this new moon, which I find fascinating, and that is that Mercury from Libra opposes Chiron in Aries. And around the time of, let's say, September 20th or so, we had Mars opposing Chiron. A few days ago, we had the Sun opposing Chiron. We had a full Chiron. So some part, because Mercury is in Libra and Chiron is in Aries, again, this polarity of taking action and communicating things related to the Libra part of your chart in such a way that they actually assist in the healing that Chiron is trying to create in the Aries part of your chart feels relevant. And it only encourages, again, both the new moon and the solar eclipse will carry this encoded. And the new moon solar eclipse is in the sign of Libra, which is ruled by Venus. We covered this in the Venus in Virgo recordings that I did just before this one. Venus is in Virgo. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury's in Libra. So the new moon is ruled by Venus in Virgo, but the chart is disposited by Venus in Virgo and Mercury in Libra. And they are in mutual reception. Mercury is in Venus's house and Venus is in Mercury's house. They've done an Airbnb trade swap thing. I don't know. So this Mercury opposition to Chiron, the nice thing about the Mercury opposition to Chiron is it's very much just exaggerating and giving more energy and a kind of It may well be that the actions that are relevant to be taken in the Libra part of the chart as part of your new moon and as part of releasing something on a more macro way in the Libra part of the chart as part of the South Node eclipse tomorrow, both have a strong component of communication, transactions, contracts, social media, technology, Mercury-related items, and ideally any actions taken tomorrow as part of the new moon actions that need to be taken to construct something in the part of the chart where Libra sits, and the larger eclipse actions that need to be taken, keeping an eye on where you're headed in the Aries part of your chart and what correspondingly needs to be released in the Libra part of your chart, may also have a communication element, a travel element, a short-term travel element, a mercurial element, communication, transactions, skill acquisition, teaching, talking, communicating, writing, the written word, the spoken word. And because we have Mercury and Venus involved, finances and relationships, communicating about finances and relationships, improving them, security, the right relationships, may very well be the right locations. Your values, what you value, what you're communicating around that, all may play a role in both the short-term constructive new moon energies that take us to about December the 4th, and then the longer-term through 2025, but certainly insofar as there's a corresponding lunar eclipse on March 24th, the larger theme right now of releasing something in the Libra part of the chart and continuing to lean into the Aries part of the chart, okay? Eclipses, and because the week before and after August 28th, because the Mercury retrograde period, because the Pisces full moon around August 30th or so, whenever that was, had this connection to, frankly, the entire second half of this year feels eclipsy. You know, but just because we've had such significant, we've had Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde, and after Venus went direct, Jupiter retrograde. The Jupiter retrograde is not, but all these important transits that Venus and Mercury, that from the signs of Leo and Virgo, were making to both the Taurus and Aries part of the chart, and now from the Libra part of the chart, there's this focus on these oppositions to Chiron that are taking place. From the Scorpio part of the chart, where Mars has just entered, very soon, again, the Taurus part of the chart is going to be activated because planets, as they go through Scorpio, are going to oppose Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. So, and we'll need to, again, serve and look to the Taurus part of the chart. As planets clear the Virgo part of the chart, they're trining Pluto and Capricorn. So, a lot of movement, but in a very, as I've mentioned in my Venus and Virgo video, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. The October 14th new moon is important to us since prior to the retrogrades, because it's the first new moon that we have where the personal planets are direct. So we can really expect greater forward movement in the way that we understand forward movement on a day-to-day basis after tomorrow. So if there has been stagnation, if there has been a feeling of things not moving, if there has been a feeling of false starts, tomorrow's new moon starts to move us forward past the Venus and Mercury retrograde and brings more action. And because the Venus and Virgo transit is timed along with this eclipse, starts to bring in some more blessings and some more luck, hopefully, on an opportunity. But this is why we have to keep an eye out for the Jupiter retrograde video that I did just prior to the Venus video, because overall, just remember, we're still, for people who have Jupiter direct in their birth chart, we are now planning and adjusting our lives so that we can help Jupiter complete its endings and new beginnings in the Taurus part of the chart between January and May of next year. But for people who have Jupiter retrograde in their birth chart, it's time to move. It is manifestation time. So you can, that's why I take a look at the Jupiter and retrograde video, which was the second to last video I did. Take a look at the Venus and Virgo videos, the last 2 videos that I posted. But of course, we've got this particular new moon. So to summarize, it is a new moon in Libra. So it starts a 28-day cycle. After the new moon in Libra, we'll have the full moon in Taurus. And after the new moon in Libra, 28 days from tomorrow, we're going to have the new moon in Scorpio. So at least a 28-day cycle of active actions being taken, opportunities coming in, things coming in for you to work on, you executing on plans that you've been thinking about, not only for the past 6 weeks, but especially since Mercury came into this part of the chart about a week ago. And till December the 4th, you've got the personal planets going through Libra, and there's a certain amount of work and attention that the Libra part of the chart needs. As far as I'm concerned, Libra season starts tomorrow. In addition, we've got the South Node eclipse in Libra tomorrow at around the same time. So that means from an overall perspective, the eclipse cycle that started with April the 19th of 2023, with the new moon solar eclipse, now gets its next eclipse, a new moon solar eclipse in Libra tomorrow that has a corresponding lunar eclipse on March 24th. The dates of October 14th, December 14th, January 24th, and March 24th, the week before, week after, may bring developments related to releasing something in the Libra part of the chart. The events may well be the Aries part of your chart pulling you forward, which creates this release in the Libra part of the chart. It's a kind of a symbiotic thing. A chicken and egg thing. You can't tell which came first because it's actually a bit of a loop. The pull of one creates the release of the other, the desire to, or the need to release in the Libra part of the chart those things that have become subconscious strengths and that have outrun their time, that you're done with, gives rise to this feeling of, well, then where do I want to head? And that's going to be signified by the Aries part of the chart. Communicating, transacting in such a way that continues to create healing in the Aries part of the chart, in terms of the healing that Chiron is trying to create, is also embedded into both the eclipse and the new moon. Somewhere overall, the new moon is disposited by Venus in Virgo and Mercury in Libra. Again, Venusian themes, Mercurial themes, what you value, money, relationships. Both these planets are the planets that were retrograde till recently, now direct. What do they know? What is the plan of action? As it starts to see greater movement, have you learned the lessons and taken into account everything that the Venus and Mercury retrograde brought to your attention? How are you going to move forward? Let me give you a couple of examples. And if, for example, you have Capricorn rising and the Libra new moon and eclipse are in the 10th house for you, house of career, right? That makes sense. Libra, Scorpio, yeah. Then, number one, it may be that over the past week or so, you've been actively thinking about career. And over the past 3 weeks, you've had the sun. So you've been doing an annual review of the career part of the chart in a way that you're subconsciously preparing for your new year, starting around December the 21st, when the sun enters Capricorn. So somewhere there may be actions that you're looking to take and opportunities that come in from a career part of your chart, or actions you're taking that are kind of part of an annual focus in this part of the chart. So there may be communications around them. There may be a set of actions you take starting. There could be opportunities that come in. So certainly there's something for you to build and work on from an annual perspective, especially as you keep your eye onto your new year, starting when the sun enters the sign of Capricorn later this year. Venus comes in, after November the 8th to December the 4th. So that could be an interesting time of certain things manifesting, or opportunities, relationships kind of coming your way. But then you've also got this eclipse of release to deal with. So somewhere issues related, and please know that this is a general reading. I'm not looking at an individual chart. So there are millions of people who have Capricorn rising, I would imagine. That would make sense. But from an eclipse perspective, there's this thing of needing to focus on real estate and land and property issues, homeland, mother, childhood, psychological patterns that need to be looked at and addressed. But the 4th house, more than anything, land, real estate, property, commercial, or especially personal, residence, home and family feeling. How does it feel at home? Mother. That's where the focus is. And there's a need to lean into and address and develop that part of the chart and release something outmoded in the career part of the chart. So this is where you have this dichotomy. On the one hand, on a more mundane level, till December the 4th, you may actually be availing of opportunities and building something career related. And at the same time, from an overall macro perspective, the larger question is, what is it about your career that has fulfilled its purpose? And so is there a new location? Is there a new... And this will become clearer through 2024 and into early 2025, and even through the end of 2025. The Aries Libra eclipses, we've got them going on till, March 29th is an Aries eclipse. That's the last one. March 29th, it's a solar eclipse in Aries. So it takes us through the bulk, it takes us through 3/4 of 2025. So through 2025, let's just say, but especially 2024, this is going to become clearer. You may feel like you need to move or address some real estate. Are you working from home? Are you setting up a home office? Do you need to move to a different location? Do you need to go back to your home? I'm giving this example for a reason, because when we have to release something from a career perspective, people might be like, oh my God, there's going to be not enough focus on the career and blah, blah. No. From an eclipse perspective, eclipses of release are still, in order for your career to develop, there's something that needs to be released, and land, real estate, mother issues need to be leaned into. And it will free up and help extend and move your career forward by allowing you to release what it is that needs to be released. And some of these themes will just develop, and you just continue to see what they are, and you'll have an instinctive sense of this developing and building. It's fascinating. But I'm giving you a more specific example in a more prominent part of the chart so that you can understand how the new moon is going to work. It's one set of energies, seemingly contradictory because you're leaning into the Libra part of the chart till December the 4th. But then you also got the eclipse itself asking you to release something in the Libra part of the chart in a bigger way and lean into the Aries part of the chart. And that's a larger set of energies that carries us into 2025. Okay? I hope you found this helpful. I hope you found this useful. It's nice to do an eclipse video that isn't crowded with a lot of other transits and things to talk about. Certainly, as we head towards October the 28th, that eclipse is one, you've got Mars and Mercury and the Sun, and Mars and Mercury getting ready to conjunct together in Scorpio. The planets are opposing Jupiter and Uranus. That is one hell of an eclipse. Now, eclipse watchers will argue that because tomorrow's eclipse is a total eclipse, that is one hell of an eclipse, and that the October 28th, but the October 28th is an important marker because it's the last of the Taurus eclipses in a while. And for many of us, since the week before and after August the 28th, there has been a certain sort of eclipse movement. And my biggest hope for tomorrow is that it clears the energy away from the stagnant Virgo new moon that was ruled by a stationary Mercury, and allows us all to see greater flow and greater movement, because God knows we are ready for it in this kind of 3 steps forward, 2 steps back way that we've been having. Okay. After tomorrow, energy will start to return to you as well. You will feel more energized, more hopeful, more positive, hopefully. It's just kind of the new moon energy thing. 48 hours, 72 hours before a new moon, everything starts to flatten out, and then we start to get moving again. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm rambling. If you like the video, feel free to share it with others, tell others about it, about my channel. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and you feel like doing so. And when you do that, click on the bell icon and the wiggly bell on top so you're notified whenever I do new videos. If you're interested in readings, then my email address is in the description box. You can, use that to communicate with me. And feel free to like and comment if you feel inclined to do so. It kind of gives, videos more circulation on YouTube. And I will leave it at that. Thank you. Take care.